بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون ولا تكونوا كالذين تفرقوا واختلفوا من بعد ما جاءهم البينات وأولئك لهم عذاب عظيم يوم تبيض وجوه وتسود وجوه فأما الذين اسودت وجوههم أكفرتم بعد إيمانكم فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون وأما الذين ابيضت وجوههم ففي رحمة الله هم فيها خالدون تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وما الله يريد ظلما للعالمين ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم
صدق الله مولانا al-Azim. So today, inshallah, we are starting this ayat 102, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatihi. So fear Allah as Allah should be feared, and do not die until you are Muslim. So fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an important ingredient of Islam. And fear, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Raufur Rahim. Allah is most merciful and He's the loving. So why should we fear Him? Because this is the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us, that we fear Him. Fear Him means Allah is Arhamar Rahim. So we should fear Him because of us, because we should not transgress and follow, because all the people who have went astray, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing in Quran how they met the dreadful, punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should be always, asking for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Sheikh Abdul Ghani, Al-Ma'ruf Ghaus al-Azam, the Sagir Pina, he says that I admonish you to fear Allah and fear nobody but Allah. So when you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a mercy take out all the other fears. Like, we are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us weak. So that's why we have fear of, tyrant, fear of, financial hardship, financial of all that. But when you start fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah through His infinite mercy takes away all the other fear and you started living fearlessly. Fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is basically the basis of knowledge, because when you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill your chest with all kind of knowledge. When Hazrat Umar Farooq, when he used to read his namaz, as a fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a khushu and khusu, he used to cry so much that his whole beard would get wet. He would cry and cry. So what was that? That was fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Ali, when you read the namaz, because the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was so much indulged into the namaz that his face will turn pale and he will be totally absorbed in the namaz. In one of the battle, what happened that one of the arrow which was, poison arrow hit his leg, and it was so painful for Hazrat Ali, because whenever people wanted to pull out that arrow from his leg, the pain was so severe that Hazrat Ali will refuse to let the arrow take out from that. But it was a poisonous arrow, so the poison was spreading into his body. So everybody thought that when Hazrat Ali will start his namaz, we will pull out that arrow. So this how his whole body will be safe. The poison in the arrow will not spread in that. So Hazrat Ali, he started his namaz, and his friend, the other Sahaba Ikram, they pull out the arrow. And Hazrat Ali, when he finishes namaz, only then he realized that that arrow has been pulled out. So it was what fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he would be involved so much in that. So this is the important thing, that we do not fear any of his creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rahman Rahim, but we should fear him, because we do not want to as we recite every day in Surah Fatiha, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin amin. So when we pray ghayril maghdubi, that means we fear that Allah's wrath should never come upon us, as on the previous nation and some of the people who have gone astray, Allah's wrath come up and nobody could save them from the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we always ask for protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we never find any of the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. And in the second ayat, Wa'tasimu bihablillahi jami'an. So all of you should grab the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa'tasimu means grab tightly or hold on to that. Bihablillah. Hablil means the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here the rope, the word rope has been used metaphorically, because if somebody's drowning and you throw the rope, so he can grab the rope and come out of that drowning through the thing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a rope through which we can hold down, we can find salvation. That is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the teachings, the blessed teachings of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, through which. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that hold on to the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hold on to the teachings of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and hold on to the Quran, and wala tufarriqu, and do not divide yourself. Waskuru ni'matallahi alaykum is kuntum adaan fa'alafa bayna qulubikum. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding that before this guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came in form of his beloved messenger and his glorious Quran, so there were tribal warfare. Everybody, because there was no guidance, nothing. So throughout the Arabia, one tribe will fight with another tribe, and sometimes these tribal fighting will start with the most stupid of the things. This, where now Medina Sharif is, at that time the city was called Yasrib, and in Yasrib there were two tribes, Arab tribes, Aus and Hazrat. They will fight all the time. And how did this fight started? Because one tribe's she-camel, she walked into the grazing ground of another tribe and grazed some grasses. So that invoked a war that lasted for 350 years. And there were a series of battles that emerged from this incident, a small travel incident. But the animosity was so great that the last battle between Aus and Hazrat that took place in the city of Medina was called the Battle of Bas, and in which all the major chiefs of both Aus and Khazraj died. So when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam presented them the teachings, so they were waiting, anxiously waiting for a prophet, a savior. So when they realized, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam united those two tribes and gave them a new title of Ansar. So they were the enemies of each other, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, created love among them, and they became akhwana, which means the brotherhood was established, and they stopped fighting, and they, because of the barakat of Islam, barakat of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, not only Medina was saved from the tribal warfare, but it became the hub of Islam, of spirituality. Big Sahabas emerged from the city of Medina, big scholars, big mujahideen, and it became the seat of all the spiritual and the political guidance and the guidance of mankind, and that's how Medina. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing that how he created, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you were an enemy, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cast love upon you in your heart. And fa'asbahatum means a similar word, we use it in Urdu. Subah means the daybreak or the new era. So when a new day started, so we call it Subah, means fa'asbahatum. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you with his infinite ikhwana, means the brother. And وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَا حُفْرَةٍ مِّنَ النَّارِ, and you were on the corner of the pit of fire. So you were in the area that, of course, those people who died before the Islam, all the people who died in tribal fighting, first of all, the worst thing that can happen in this world is you die. And that's how they died. But, they died in the state of kufr. So not only they lost everything in this world, but there's no reward for them in the hereafter because they died without accepting Islam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala both had mercy upon, in the worldly mercy, because when they stopped fighting each other, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam united them through love and through brotherhood. And that gave them prosperity. Medina became also the trading center, because when there's a fighting, there's no commercial activities, because nobody want to go into an area where there's a fighting, there's a lawlessness. But if there's a peace and prosperity, so that is also triggered a lot of trade activities. And Medina and those Muhajirs, like those Sahaba Ikram who migrated from Makkah to Medina, they established the trade there, and very soon that what is impoverished Medina, that used to be called Yasrib, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave the city a new name called Madinatun Nabi, and through the usage it was shortened from Madinatun Nabi to Medina. So it was forbidden to use the old name Yasrib, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them a lot of reward in this, because those Sahabas who accepted Islam, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had special love for these Ansari Sahabis, and he also even prophesied before he passed away. He said that after me, take care of this Ansari Sahaba, because as the population of Medina grew, so this Ansari population started dwindling, and they became very few. But Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was, according to his will and to his instruction, he told other Muslims to take care of Ansari Sahaba. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so I was describing the verse for asbahatum. So it brought, after accepting Islam, it started a new day, a new subha, a new time in which Muslims became brotherhood. And kazalika yubayyinullahu lakum ayatul la'allakum tahtadun. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah described what was your condition, and so you can find the guidance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing out to the nemat. And still, if we follow it right, those people who have converted to Islam, they see that how Islam get rid of the problem of racism. So one of the newly converted person who went to the masjid, and he saw Croatian Muslims, who are actually Caucasian Muslims, and he saw the African Muslims, he saw Indonesian, he saw Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and all of them are praying in one masjid. He was very much delighted to see that all the different races, all the linguistic background, but they can pray together. But if you look at that, even to this day, like these churches, like you will find Arab churches, Croatian churches, Greek Orthodox churches, they are very much ethnic churches. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala united them, all of them, in the name of the kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his next ayah said, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. So I mean, you should be a group of people who will invite people to Islam, will will admonish people to do the good things and forbid people from doing the bad things. فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing, because Islam is for everybody. It is for the trader, it is for the carpenter, it is for the shop owner, it is all for the. But we do not have concept of priesthood, or we do not have concept of popeism in Islam. In Islam, every person should be a scholar. We should learn the basics of that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing out some people who emerge from ordinary people. They get well versed in teachings of Islam and invite other people to Islam and invite Muslims to the right path and forbid people from doing the bad thing. So this is the tradition of ulama, that whenever in a society any ills happen, any moral ills happen, so a group of people, the ulama or the scholars, they emerge and they condemn that. Ordinary people, we have an obligation on people to invite them to Islam, to do good things and forbid them from doing the bad things. But ulama has a special responsibility. If you look at the life of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the life of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam can be divided into the 3 periods. One is from his blessed birth to his Basat, his age 40, in which he did not teach anybody about teachings of Islam, but he showed his extraordinary character. So even before declaration of Islam and presentation of Islam, people of Makkah, they were so moved by the character, the piousness of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because they start giving him the title of Sadiq and Amin. Because whenever Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will speak, he will speak the truth. And whenever he deal with people, he will deal with ultimate honesty. And that's why people started calling him Sadiq and Amin. But he did not presented any teachings of Islam. From age 40 to age 53, when he declared his prophethood, till the day he migrated from Makkah to Medina, he taught people, and presented the teaching. He forbade people not to do the bad things, not to steal, not to eat murdar, not to kill your own children. And he also invited people to Islam and to the Tawheed, to the monotheism, and to his prophethood, and to the Quran. And that's what he did for the 13 years, from the age 40 to 53. And his third and the last period was his Madani period, in which he established Islamic State, and he showed how Islamic State should be run. So now coming back to this ayat, in which among you should be a group of people who will invite people for good things and forbid people from doing bad things. So today, people analyzing the teachings and the holy life of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say that, to live a good life, the life of chastity, life of taqwa, life of honesty, this is the responsibility of general people, for people like you and me. We are not like, this is like a sort of a silent tabligh, or silent propagation of Islam, that any society we are living, we adopt good manners, we are good to our neighbors, we are good to our co-workers. This is like a silent. Everybody should say that we are from the Ummah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so we are honest people. So this is but the second thing in which you invite other people to Islam, this is the responsibility of scholars, the alim people, that once they have learned it, they have also have to present the teachings of Islam, the moral teachings of Islam, to other people. And third is only the responsibility of Islamic State, in which they establish a welfare state and they help the poor people, just like what happened in Khilafat-e-Rashida, that after Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he established the first Islamic state, which was the Riyasat-e-Madina. And after that, his followers, Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar, Hazrat Usman, Hazrat Ali, they carried forward his work. And all the areas, Egypt that was conquered, Iran that was conquered, Syria was conquered. So the first time they experienced the justice system of Islam, the welfare system of Islam. So all of them, or areas, they were not only conquered, but they converted to Islam because they found the justice, they found the prosperity, they found the equalness of Islam. So this is what, the explanation of the ayat. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ يَنْهُونَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. So among you should be a group of people. What are those? They are the Islamic scholars who learn the deen, and they also present it to the other people. Some of those people, it doesn't mean that they take it as a profession. Some of them, they are dedicating their lives to that. So it is okay to make a living out of that. But just like Imam Abu Hanifa, he was a cloth merchant, and he never made so, but he dedicated his life for the learning and teaching of Islam. And because of that, although he used to run a clothing store, but he had totally dedicated. So the governor, the Khalifa, when he was so much impressed by Hazrat Imam Abu Hanifa, that he wrote a letter to him and said that I want you to appoint you the Khalifa or the governor of a particular area. So he declined because he knew that working for that Khalifa as a governor will involve doing injustice. So he refused that. But pointing out that although he totally dedicated his life for Islam, learning and teaching, but he never made it a living out of that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ تَفَرَّقُوا وَاخْتَلَفُوا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتُ أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. So in this ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that in the earlier ayats, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that hold on to the rope of Allah. What is rope of Allah? It's the teachings of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is the rope of Allah? It is the teachings of Quran. It is the teachings of Islam. So if you hold on tightly, you will not go astray. So today, unfortunately, we see so many denominational differences. So what are those? Somebody is saying that I'm Barelvi, I'm Deobandi, I am Wahhabi, I am this and that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that hold on to the teachings of Islam, which is Quran. So the main reason today you see so many denominational differences, people are arguing. The reason for that is what is missing is that they are a little bit far from Quran and Sunnah. If you hold on to the rope, which is Quran and Sunnah, if you hold on tightly, so you will not have those, that many differences. And all these differences, they can happen. The main reason for that is that people go astray and people get involved in these denominational difference because they are away from the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rope of Allah, which is the teachings of Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَوْمَ تَبَيَّضُ وَجُوهُمْ وَتَسَوَّدُ وَجُوهُمْ. So in the day of judgment, some people, their faces will be bright. They will be happy. Their face will be shining. And some people will be very dark, not literally, but figuratively, means when somebody will get their deed book or Amal Lama in their right hand, they will be delighted because they will be eternally living in the gardens of bliss. And those people whose Amal Lama or the deed book will be given in their left hand, they will be regretting, oh, what kind of life we live. We wish we could go back, but there was no turning back. So their faces will be all dull. They will be all worried. And this is the something that will be, because human emotions can be seen from their faces. So those people whose faces will be dark or dim, or they will be saddened. So why they will be? Because the worst of those people in the day of judgment will be those people who had accepted Islam and they reverted. So they will, or some of the people who were born into Muslim families and they reverted to this some other religions. They will regret that such a big ni'mat we had it. And what will also happen in the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them, among the columns and ranks of the people. So now there are some people, well, not only the person who reverted from Islam and go astray, his next generation usually, will go astray too, because one person left Islam and converted to Christianity, his children and all that. So what will happen in the day of judgment? Those people, the progeny of a person who had reverted from Islam, they will come and they will curse their ancestor and say that, because of you, we are being hurled into hellfire. And those forefathers, they will curse their offspring and say that, you are going, because of you, we are going to hellfire. And they will curse each other, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell the angels to hurl all those group of people who have gone astray to hellfire. So, this is a very, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from that. Allah save the iman of ourselves and our next generation. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing the dreadful scene that will be seen, that, their faces will reflect their condition. Those people, of course, who have got the deed to go to Jannah, the Parvane Jannah, or the deed to go to that, it will be very delighted. In the day of judgment, anybody who is given the permit to go to Jannah, so he will be joyously enter the gates. There are 8 gates of heaven. He will joyfully go into the gates of heaven, except one person. There was one person, he will be given the the permit to go to Jannah, but he will stand outside the Jannah gate and will wait for his parents. Who will be that person? He will be the person who died as an infant. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, since he did not commit any sins, so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the permit to go to Jannah, like other people will just go joyously, they were waiting for that moment and will jump into the gates of Jannah and go there. But that person will not go there. He says, I will not go to Jannah until my parents come here. They go to Jannah, and only then I will go to Jannah. And his parents will come, he will do the shafa. He will do the recommendation that my parents go to Jannah, and when they go to Jannah, he will go to Jannah. So this is the great reward for a person whose children die in infancy. So, it is a great loss for the parents that, their young child died. But, in the day of judgment, he will also intercede for their parents. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, inshallah, those people who have suffered. Tilka ayatullahi natluha alayka bil haqq. So Allah subhanahu, these are the, the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rehearse them with haqq and with the truthfulness. Wamallahu yuridu zulman lil alamin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not will to do any injustice or anything to his creations, because Allah is most merciful. Walillahi ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard, and all the heavens and earth are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa ilallahi turja'ul umur, and all the questions and all the deeds that are regarding that will go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah we will end here, and if there's any questions, I will welcome that, or anybody wants to comment.